Wilson School Board for Monday, April 1st, 2019. Can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Ehrlich, Mr. Hart, Mr. Hopp, Dr. Kennedy, Mrs. Cocker, Mr. Martin, Mr. Negrini, Mr. Wolf. 9 present, 0 absent.
Thank you. Would you all please rise for the pledge to the flag? Okay, up next we have a presentation with some of our students for the You Be the Chemist competition. Would you want to come up, please?
Good evening, honorable board members and community. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the You Be the Chemist competition. On Saturday, March 9th, 10 Wilson Middle School students participated in the 13th annual You Be the Chemist Challenge, sponsored by Brenntag North America, the American Chemical Society, and Penn State Berks. The competition included students from 10 schools competing in 3 qualifying rounds that challenged students' knowledge of chemistry. Of the top 4 winners for the county, Wilson Southern student Aaron Shee won first place.
And Wilson West had the 4th place winner, Addie Nyack. They both will be traveling to Penn State main campus on April 27th for the state competition. We would like to thank the board, the administration, teachers, parents of the kids. It was a really, really tough challenge, and they put in hours and hours of their time and love for chemistry. Really, really cool. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Addie and Aaron, will you come around and shake hands?
Should we go shake hands?
Before the next presentation, just want to announce that the board has decided to table the vote about our Berkshire Heights program for tonight. We will have a presentation tonight from the company that is proposed to come in and be working with us, and in the next 2 weeks there will be 2 more opportunities, one during the daytime and one in the evening, for our community to come and hear more about the program as well. Most likely, if we move forward, this will be back on the agenda in about 2 weeks. So at this time, I'm going to ask the representative from Right at School to come up and make that presentation.
Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Dr. Michelle Wilkins. I'm the Chief Academic Officer for Right at School. Hello, everyone. Sorry to have my back to you. I have sort of worn every hat in the early learning and child care world. I have been a mom, a working parent who needed care before and after school and in summers. I've been a school administrator where the after-school program sort of fell in my lap, and our program wasn't very good, and so I had lots of behavior problems and custodial headaches and angry parents because their children were having behavior problems in my not-so-wonderful program. And I've also, through Right at School, had the opportunity to help solve a lot of those problems by providing really high-quality programming that takes the headache off of districts, but in a way that's really affordable and accessible to working parents of all different income levels. So I'm going to share a little bit about who we are and what we have the opportunity to partner with Wilson School District on. So in the course of a school year, if you do the math, elementary students are only awake 5,000 hours a year, and they spend just 20% of that in your classrooms, which means that for all of the instructors out here behind me, they're packing in all of those very detailed expectations of curricular delivery and educational objectives into just 20% of their waking hours. And so it sort of begs the question, well, what's going on the rest of the time? I understand. My teenagers are a little bit older now, but I understand there's a lot of Fortnite going on. But there's also just missed opportunities, right? The things that come of enrichment programs. And so we formed Right at School to really maximize the hours that we get them, which we did the math on that, and it actually turns out to be another 20% of their time between before and after school and summer and all the summer and winter break and spring breaks. And so the research behind us really supports taking the time to have quality enrichment programs for kids at all ages. The caveat to these great outcomes that you see here is that they really only pertain to high quality programs. So you don't see these great academic or social or achievement gap outcomes with programs that look maybe more like babysitting or daycare. I'm on the board of directors of the National After School Association, and I can tell you I get to see all these different types of providers around the country, and every last one of them is incredibly well-meaning, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're resourced in a way to be truly successful with children, and so they're not necessarily delivering on results like this. So more often we see programs that you see here where there's well-meaning people, but maybe high turnover or a lack of curriculum, parents who are locked into 5-day slots like I used to be, having to pay for times that they don't even use, or worst of all, wait lists where they can't even count on care being there. And for districts, potentially, what I also encountered as an assistant principal, just a lot of time spent on administration instead of focusing on my 9 to 3 job. And so our founder, Dr. Mark Rothschild, really brought about Right at School because of 2 hats that he wears. He is also an educator, as a doctor in education, and a father. And he walked into his own daughter's after-school program and saw her eating Doritos and watching movies. And nothing against either of those things. I'm a big fan personally. But he just felt like we could do something better. And so our goal is to bring about a love of learning for children, but at the same time support schools so they can focus on their school day academic mission and give parents the kind of peace of mind that I know I struggled having when my kids wouldn't even go to my own school's after-school program. And so I'll share you a little bit about how we're different from all those other providers that I've worked with around the country. And one of the ways is that everything that we do is designed to build up in children the types of qualities that will last them far beyond their years here in the Wilson School District. So things that are really the long game of education and probably why we all bother to invest in children in the first place. So whether it's our curriculum, our positive guidance approach, how we work and partner with parents and special needs teachers, it's all designed around these long-term outcomes. The other thing we figured out with regard to learning, not just for early learning where play-based learning has always been at the core of great early learning programs, but even in after-school programs, if you want children to learn and you want to maximize the educational outcomes from that time period, you need to hide the learning because you cannot tell a child at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, hey, let's go learn some more, because they're spent, right? They've already had a full school day. So our curriculum is actually designed by a team of folks who are former elementary school teachers and preschool teachers, and they developed this curriculum that embeds all the kinds of things you see there in all these different academic areas and SEL and critical thinking skills, 21st century stuff. But it's all just like hands-on fun for the kids. So they're learning, but they have no idea, and that's kind of how we like it. And then this is just a typical afternoon in an after-school program. And I say this is more of like a framework. I got to meet with the after-school and preschool staff today, and we had some great conversation around the fact that every program is unique. It's unique to the staff there. It's unique to the program director. It reflects the children. It even reflects the certain school ethos where that program lives. And that's exactly what we hope to maintain with programs, is to have them have a framework and resources to support great programming, but let the program staff really be the architects of what that means at their particular location. And so what we figured out over time with after-school programs is that it's really important to have an ebb and flow of things that are full group and small group and individual, things that are indoors and outdoors, things that are fine motor, gross motor, cognitive, physical fitness, etc. And what we found through experience with this type of routine, and again, programs carry this out in their own way, but it really sets kids up for success. Not only that, but we have found to our delight that children with special needs do exceptionally well in a model like this, where there's just enough structure and just enough freedom that it's a balance for all types of children. And then for the district, what our hope is to take all the headaches off of you. So to partner closely on things like children with special needs, curricula methods or approaches you'd like us to reflect and ramp up in the preschool into your kindergartners, things like that. But all the other stuff that's not so attractive about managing programs, to really get that off your plate and do it in a way that is not only free to the district, but we give back to the district in terms of the revenue share and that we have promised, and free services. So like in each school, if there's a PTA or PTO meeting each month, our staff will come and babysit for free to you and to the parents, just to increase community engagement. So things like that help us become part of the community. And then as a district, you can choose not only which programs to have, but which programs at each school. And that can change over time as the community's need changes. So there may be some locations that a before-school program is really needed, and another site where that's just not necessary because of bell times. You may not have a summer program for school-agers now, but maybe 2 years from now, the parents in the community say we need that. So we have that flexibility to change with the community's growing needs. And then as far as preschool, I got to visit the preschool today, which was such a delight. And I had a great conversation with Sue, and we just talked about, obviously there's so many things that are already working well in all of the programs. And there's also opportunities, just like anything any of us are doing. And so we talked about the fact that, like our after-school program, we bring a framework, but we work as partners to say, well, what does this look like here at Berkshire Heights? What would make sense for your very seasoned staff who know the children, who know the families? How can we support them in being even more successful with what they're endeavoring to do with children? And we do have a creative curriculum that is a research-based curriculum that you can see here covers many domains of learning. I selected this along with preschool consultants for our preschool model, particularly because it really wraps in a number of the best preschool early learning philosophies that are out there. There are pieces of Waldorf, of Reggio, of Froebel, of Montessori, things that are all about play-based learning, experiential hands-on learning, self-direction, longer immersion learning, projects, a lot of socialization, physical fitness, a prepared environment. So it has all of those kind of components built in, but the way that we deliver is to give, again, those expert teachers the freedom to carry it out with individual children in a way that makes sense for that child's developmental needs and for the sort of talents and passions of that particular teacher. And then something else we do that is unique to us as a provider is we will partner with the district to say, what are your strategic initiatives? Where can we, in before and after school programs, summer camps, the preschool, where can we align and be a mirror of what you are doing? So it might be in the preschool that if you have a particular handwriting with the kindergartners handwriting method, we would mirror that in the preschool. If you want us to incorporate understanding by design or SEL or your behavior behavior system. By reinforcing it in our programs, it ramps the younger students up for success as they enter kindergarten. And for the school-age students, it creates a consistency and a continuity across the before to school to after school time period that really sets them up for success. And then all of that design is really potentially great, but it completely depends on the great people to deliver it, right? So one of the things that we focus on is making sure that we have people who are passionate, who love children. I met a whole room full of them today when I met with the before and after school staff and the preschool staff, and we're very excited to interview and offer and guarantee positions to the before and after school and preschool leaders, the 4 full-time preschool teachers, and anybody else who wants to interview with us and have that opportunity. They understand it's their choice. And we got to answer a lot of their questions today, and mostly around things like benefits, things they've earned and worked hard for that they don't want to lose. And so we're just excited to continue dialoguing. I sent answers back to them even in the last couple hours from their questions today. So all their questions are great. I can tell their experience is deep and they're really passionate about the right things. And our goal would just be to come and say, how can we support you even more in what you're trying to do every day? And then our training model is really unique to our profession in that we flipped the classroom on ourselves a couple years ago. We went to an online training system as the first phase of training, where we introduced all the concepts that you would want any professional working with your children to know, everything from child development and curricular instruction to safety, emergency response, children with special needs, program management, parent relations. They take all of those types of modules and assessments around those modules to prove that they've got the concepts down, and then go to a live training experience in their actual program space with their own team, almost like a dress rehearsal to walk through every moment of the program and even imagine difficult scenarios like, uh-oh, the fire alarm went off, or Kevin just threw up in the corner. Who's cleaning that up? Where are the cleaning supplies? Figuring out all of those nuanced details are really important before you see children on day one. And so we work through all of that before we open doors to children. And then after that, the coaching and the SMART goal setting and the PD, professional development, just keeps going throughout the year. And we have professional development in our online library that is aligned to the National After School Association core competencies. And we tiered it in a way where, as employees earn different tiers or work through different tiers of the professional development, they actually earn pay raises along the way. So it's an incentive to develop professionally. And those courses are also aligned to the International Association for Continuing Education and Training. So it's something they can take as a transcript anywhere they go in their career. So we're investing in them beyond the years they might work for Right at School. And the thing that matters most to us about our training is really what our own staff have said now 4 years in a row. This model, I was asked by the president of the National After School Association in 2017 to share it with the U.S. Department of Labor because she was so excited about what we were doing in Right at School and what our own staff were telling us. So. And then, like probably the district and all districts around the country, we have really seen an influx of children with diverse and whether identified needs or not yet identified needs. And we have worked really hard to incorporate more and more focus on this, not only in our training, but more importantly in our just-in-time training, meaning that, as I told the staff today, a program manager can call our training team and say, here is a specific child, a specific challenge we're having, what are the solutions? And we have a master's level Erickson Institute trained special needs therapist who will attend to developing almost like an IEP plan, but for after school specifically or for preschool. And that has also increased the number of children that we can include with special needs, which just enriches our entire experience for all children. And then the last thing I'll say about programming is just that nothing is more important to us than safety. When I was a school administrator, one of the districts I was in was where Columbine happened. And I learned a lot in those years in partnering with the local police and school safety board that I was on about how this district in Jefferson County, Colorado became a global leader in school safety based on their tragic experience, and brought all of that seriousness and those strategies to Right at School, as well as lots of consultation with our own folks. But what matters most is that we partner with each building principal to say, what are your disaster plans? Where are children supposed to go in this case? What is your lockdown and lockout procedure? Where do you reunify with parents? All of those things, so that the children, whether it's 10:30 in the morning or 4:30 in the afternoon, they know exactly what to do, and it's completely consistent for them. And then we've shared our pricing model. One of the things that we're able to do that would be potentially a very positive change for some parents is to offer options that are 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 days before school, after school, or a combination thereof. And you can see in the green there the kind of savings that can create for parents, which is significant. We also are offering drop-in care, so parents who are, you know, sometimes parents are in an industry like real estate, or maybe somebody gets sick and they need care. Things happen in life, right? So they have that option to do drop-in care. And we have a 10-day punch card where parents who have maybe a less consistent career, but it's something they have to go when they need to go, they can buy a punch card and drop in on an as-needed basis. And then the same goes for the preschool. We've been able to develop really significant potential savings for parents depending on how many days a week they choose to attend, whether full or half day. And you can see some really dramatic savings for parents each month. We also have shared with you a number of discounts in addition to Wilson residents, which also will continue to get a 10% discount. We're really excited to extend a free and reduced lunch discount that's significant, and a really significant employee discount for the district. On top of this, I will mention that the employees who work for Right at School, so for instance, all the folks I met with today, if a bunch of them decide to come work for Right at School in the Wilson district, they will get free care for their children for the before and after school program. Right now they get a 10% discount. It'll be completely free all year round for their school-age children. And at the Early Learning Center, where they currently get 10%, they will get 50% off. So very significant savings for the Right at School employees. And then we also are able to take state subsidy, work with military families as well for additional discounts. And then for parents, it's just everything is mobile these days, so we recognize that there's a really user-friendly parent portal where they can schedule, change their schedule, pay, all that kind of stuff is sort of easy breezy, no checks or paper really handling. And the most important thing is that everybody is who you already know. So all the people working in the program with the children every day are the people that are already familiar to the community, who choose maybe from the current programs to come work with us, or just people you know from the community who would also decide to join us. In addition, we'll be adding some additional support layers that the folks haven't had before, which we hope will increase the amount of focus they can put on children, because other things will be taken off of them administratively. So for instance, there would be an area manager, somebody who oversees just the Wilson School District. It never works in ratio with children, just supports the staff. Administers quality and curriculum and things like that, so that they have the tools they need to be successful. And then also a regional director who will also be visiting programs, as well as engagement managers. And then we have a whole team with me at the central office who develop curriculum, training, respond to in-time needs for children's different needs to be successful in program, and a whole group of customer service folks. So if I'm a parent, I can pick up my child each day at the after-school program or the preschool and ask questions and get answers right on the spot. But sometimes I'm in a hurry, and our customer service team means I can text, I can call, I can email, and get answers at all different hours. And that's just really convenient for parents on the go. And the last thing is just that this is what we have found, this type of intentional partnership around each child is what we've found through experience helps children have the best outcomes. It is about a connection where our relationship with our parents, our relationship with school day teachers and specialists allows us to create a consistency around children that sets them up for continuity and really optimal outcomes. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Maravich, any announcements? Yeah, I don't think there's any for agenda items right now, so we'll skip that till. Yeah, we're aware there's several people that would like to speak regarding the preschool and child care. Because this is no longer an agenda item, we'll hold those to the end, and you'll have your opportunity to speak at the end of the meeting. Moving on to approval of the minutes. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the school board meeting held March 18th, 2019. Mr. Martin, thank you. Second. Mr. Case, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Payment of bills, Mr. Martin.
Mr. President, I ask for approval tonight. Bills in the amount of $5,110,521.60, of which $4,270,000 is related to government entities.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mr. Negrini, thank you. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart? Mr. Hopp? Dr. Kennedy? Mrs. Cocker? Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini? Mr. Wolf? That's 9-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Superintendent's report, Dr. Fadley.
Thank you, President Wolf. I present this evening the superintendent's report, personnel and program recommendations as presented.
Okay. Looking for a motion for 4.1 through 4.7. Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. Second. Mr. Hart, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart? Mr. Hopp? Dr. Kennedy? Mrs. Cocker? Mr. Martin? Mr. Negrini? Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf? 9-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Under 5.1, we have 3 donations to accept with gratitude. First from Mr. Gary Collar, a check for $1,000 to be applied equally to the 5 elementary library budgets to be used at their discretion in the librarians for educational benefit of their students. From Dr. Amy Flannery for Les Mis Pit Orchestra stipend of $280 to be used in the general fund to benefit the music department. And we had an anonymous donor donate $2,500 to be used for autistic support students in the district. Do I have a motion to accept those 3? Dr. Kennedy, thanks. Thank you. Mr. Ehrlich, second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Under HR, I have a motion to approve the $150 a week stipend for Susan Wales and Claudia Schlater-Jiang as presented. Do I have a motion for that? Mrs. Cocker, thank you. Mr. Hart, second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hart? Mr. Hopp? Dr. Kennedy? Mrs. Cocker? Mr. Martin? Mr. Negrini? Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf? 9-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Under Operations 7.1, looking for a motion to approve to authorize to secure pricing for all issues discussed with and without locker rooms, restrooms, concession stands, and all options available as presented. A motion for that, Mr. Negrini. Mr. Case, second. Any discussion? Mr. Negrini?
As we had discussed at our joint finance and facilities committee meeting a few weeks ago, we're just trying to get the best information, thorough information, in order to make an informed decision about the relocation of the varsity baseball field from West over to our main campus. And obviously, the price points of all of those items that were discussed in that meeting are necessary for this board to make a decision when it comes before us down the road. Again, no firm decisions have been made relative to any of the possible costs to this project, as each of these items may or may not require us to scale back the particular project and or to reach out to some of our youth organizations that have an interest in this particular project and may make some type of private donation towards some of these extras associated with the project. So this is just to move this forward a little bit further so that we can, again, make an informed decision down the road.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we have a first and second. Can I have roll call on that, please?
Mr. Crowe? Dr. Kennedy? Mrs. Cocker? Mr. Martin? Mr. Negrini? Mr. Case? Mr. Ehrlich? Mr. Hart? Mr. Wolf? 9-4, 0 against.
Thank you. 8.1, looking for a motion to approve to purchase AP U.S. History textbooks as presented. 8.2, a motion to approve an MOU between the Wilson School District and the BCIU Head Start for pre-K transitions as presented. 8.3, a motion to approve a contract with Corwin for professional development for the 2020-2021 school year. 8.4, a motion to approve the Behind the Wheel summer program as presented. 8.5, a motion to approve the addendum to the summer program of studies as presented. 8.6, a motion to approve a contract with On Hand Schools for data blending program and services through June 30th, 2022. 8.7, a motion to approve a contract between the Wilson School District, Spring Ridge, and the Reading Public Museum as presented. 8.8, motion to approve the student teaching affiliation agreement between St. Joe's University and the Wilson School District. 8.9, a motion to approve the virtual driver's education payment as presented. And 8.10, a motion to approve to reject all bids received in response for additional virtual reality, augmented reality devices, headsets, and related equipment as presented. So looking for a motion for 8.1 through 8.10. Mr. Martin, thank you. Second. Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Ehrlich?
I have a question and a comment. Dr. Fadley, the AP U.S. History textbooks, is this something, a different textbook than you know that what we've been using in the past, or is there?
Yes, it's a different book. Do you want to speak to that?
Is there some major difference, or just? Right.
Okay.
And then my comment on 8.4 is, as I think annually say, I believe this is a valuable service that the Wilson School District provides for a district as large as Wilson, and putting as many student drivers as we do on the roads each year. I believe other than the IU, we're the only school district, one of the only school districts left that still provide this service. All of them have cut this service, and I know every year, from a financial standpoint, we always look at this, and I think Mr. Dries does an outstanding job with this. And I think, again, given the size of this district, I think it's a valuable resource that this district continues to provide.
Thank you. I agree.
For 8.8, what is the term of the contract? Is that still going to be nailed down? Because it went from like August to June of 2019. It seemed like it was out of whack.
Are you referring to the student teaching affiliation
Yes.
agreement with St. Joe's and Wilson?
Is that still to be hammered out? Because with the terms, how long is the contract for? It just seemed like the dates were off on.
Absolutely.
So are we voting on that the way it is, or it still needs to be fixed?
Well, it's subject to final solicitor negotiation and approval.
I was just sharing what we can do. A lot of these students come up because more and more students want to save money and live at home while they do their student teaching, rather than staying at school and driving to their spot. So that's why we've been getting inundated with one or two student teachers from each school. It's just that I'm guessing from my experience that it's probably a kiddo that goes to St. Joe's and wants to live at home for that semester to save some money on an apartment or on dorms.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There appears to be a typo. It should be June.
Yeah, that'll get cleaned up with final solicitor approval.
But it's not signed, so it could be.
All right.
Any other comments, Mrs. Cocker?
For 8.6, I'm just wondering if End in Sight is replacing a current program that we're using. So I recall a program from last year. That we used to track our data. So I just didn't recall the name of the previous program.
We've been on that program for a year. The 2 years before that, we used something called My District 360. That replaced performance tracking for that. So those were the 2 previous programs that we had to have. We tried to do it in-house this year between downstairs technology and upstairs. This is a better solution.
Okay. Yeah, the previous one, the 360, that's the one. Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? I think we have a first and a second, so I'm going to roll call on that, on those 8.1 through 8.10.
Dr. Kennedy? Yes. Mrs. Cocker? Yes. Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini? Yes. Mr. Case? Yes. Mr. Ehrlich? Yes. Mr. Hart? Yes. Mr. Happ? Yes. Mr. Wolf? 9-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Moving on to 10.1 policies. We need a motion to approve the adoption of policies 237, 241, and 248 as presented. Mrs. Cocker, thank you. Second. Mr. Case, thank you. Any discussion?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I think this is 237, it is 241 and 248.
That should not be
Okay,
on
yes,
there.
it does say that in the top, but the only 2 listed there are 241 and 248. So let's redo those motions. Motion for 241, 248. Mrs. Cocker, thank you. Second, Mr. Case, thank you. Roll call on that, please.
Mrs. Cocker? Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini? Mr. Case? Mr. Ehrlich? Mr. Hart? Mr. Happ? Dr. Kennedy? Mr. Wolf? 9-4, 0 against.
Then we have a first reading of 301, 314.1, and 315. No vote on those. Moving on to committee reports. BCTC, Mr. Case.
BCTC had a meeting last week on Wednesday. It was pretty uneventful, but there were some exciting events that happened throughout the week and the weekend. 6 students from BCTC's Business Management and Entrepreneurship program competed this weekend in the Husky Dog Pound competition at Bloomsburg University. In teams of two, they each pitched their own business ideas to university professors and business leaders. This Shark Tank-style competition drew 175 teams from 80 school districts in the state. And congratulations to Wilson's own senior Dylan Bilodeau, who I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, and partner Allison, who placed 12th overall and won $200. He developed a business concept called Evolution Juice, and which is a combination in-store and web-based subscription service for fresh fruit and vegetable juices. Dylan's just a great student, and I'd love to see him. I talked to Karen a little bit. I'd love to have him out at one of the next board meetings, either the next one or the one after, and present for 5 minutes. We saw a presentation from him 2 meetings ago, and he just hit it out of the park. Great student. A reminder of the summer 1-week STEAM camp registration is near, and this is a program where your child is invited to a unique learning experience focused on fun, creativity, and hands-on activities. For anyone who doesn't know about STEAM, STEAM is science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So the time for the camp is June 17th to the 21st, and the registration deadline is May 15th. You can register online. There's all sorts of information on the BCTC website. And the camp times are from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., and they're at the West Campus in Leesport, and the camp cost is $50. It's a great camp, and again, look at STEAM for BCTC. So basically, also with the STEAM, it's a different program each day, and again, there's more information online. A couple of other things. The 50th Golden Anniversary celebration is April 27th from 11 to 3 p.m. in Ole, Pennsylvania. I lied kind of last time. I said there was going to be cows there. The clarification, there will not be cows there, but there will be food trucks, a live DJ, a car show, student-built house. You can kind of tour that. Multiple giveaways and fun for kids of all ages. There's also, I want to remind everyone, anyone can take a look up here. There's a 1977 Chevrolet Corvette coupe, and there's a 1937 Chevrolet Street Rod that the students worked on that they're selling raffle tickets for $20 each. They're selling a maximum of 1,000 tickets for each vehicle, and they will be raffled off April 27th on that day. So anyway, they sold, I think, less than 200 tickets so far for each. So I'm not sure. I think they're still going to do it anyway. So go get some tickets, and the chances are good. Anyway, so that's all I have. The next meeting is April 24th at the West Campus. Yes, sure. They will be up here. Pass them around.
There you go.
Thank you. Sweet. They're getting the cars appraised too, so I don't know what that does for taxes and everything like that, but you know, they're valuable cars though.
Two farms right next to there, so if you want to bring a cow over.
Oh, you can bring a cow? Okay, great.
Thank you. Dr. Kennedy, would you like to do BCIU and curriculum, please?
Start with the BCIU, thank you. The BCIU was very busy. They had a pretty much what ended up being a surprise visit from Senator Bob Casey at one of their child care centers, and he read If You Give a Mouse a Cookie to the kids and answered questions about child care with parents and teachers. There also was a STEM competition. There was a high school STEM competition and then a grade school STEM competition and a middle school featuring Connects. Those little, we have them at Berkshire Heights. And our middle school students from Southern Middle School took second place in the middle school STEM Connects competition, which is really great. There was a regional art show at the Goggle Works featuring art from students from all around Berks County. And the other thing that is really exciting is they're having their annual Annie Sullivan Awards, and our own Tannen Summons is up for the Annie Sullivan Award, which is fantastic. He will be Patrick's future teacher one day, so that's very exciting. The curriculum committee, the other committee, we met last week. We had lots. It was a 2-hour-long meeting, so this is not going to do it justice. We had a presentation from the Right at School people. We the last thing we talked about was implementing 2 recesses in school, which was very, very exciting. Yeah, I'm clapping too in my head. And we talked about adding science kits to elementary science. We reviewed summer school materials. We did lots. It was 2 hours. It was a big meeting. So I think that's about it.
Great. Thank you. Berks EIT, Mrs. Schlossman.
Good evening. Berks EIT had a meeting on Thursday, March 28th. And the 2 highlights of that meeting were the presentation of their calendar year 2018 audit report. It was a clean opinion issued by Herbein & Company. Tax receipt distributions to municipalities and school districts were increased of 3.6% over the prior year, which is good news for all of those jurisdictions and school districts. The other main topic was the progression of the new tax collection software program. It's currently delayed in its original implementation date, and the Bureau and the software vendor are in discussions regarding the completion of that project. Our next meeting is June 27th. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Under extracurricular, just an update on our spring sports. Baseball is currently 0-2. Boys lacrosse is 1-2. Girls lacrosse is 3-2. Softball is 2-2. Boys tennis 1-3, and boys volleyball 1-0. I'm not sure if Ms. Troutman's going to say it later, but we had a pretty exciting weekend for our girls lacrosse team. One of our players scored her 200th goal, Kendall Duffy, which is kind of akin to a basketball player scoring 1,000 points. So she's had a great career and is going off to further her education and play lacrosse. So it was an exciting weekend for them. Moving on to facilities, Mr. Negrini.
Today, 4:30 at the Operations Center.
Thank you. Finance, Mr. Ehrlich.
We had a Finance Committee meeting late this afternoon, discussed a number of items. One, we discussed the draft of the debt parameters resolution, which, if you recall, at the last meeting, we had Mr. Kramer and Mr. Vinn here to make a presentation. Appears that those parameters should be pretty much as presented. The one good news is that rates have actually slid a little bit in our favor, so the cost of that refunding and debt should be less than what the proposal was that they had. So obviously, time will tell whether that holds, but right now it looks good. So the plan at this point is that we will have that before the board at the next board meeting, and we'll have some more information on that. We did look at the Right at School proposal from a financial aspect, and to look at that and what that would mean in the financial impact to the budget. We also discussed the RFP that's taking place on leasing our busing fleet. And again, this is not outsourcing the fleet. It's simply whether it makes sense for the district to lease the buses as opposed to owning them as we currently do. So that is in process. We also discussed the working budget, where we are right now with things. Unfortunately, we're still waiting for the governor, and I think Mr. Martin may have an update on that, but we're still waiting for information, so there really hasn't been a lot of change. We will have an update for the board in one of the upcoming Thursday letters as to where we are with the budget. And just to refresh everybody's memory, at the beginning of May, we will approve a preliminary budget, and then in June will be the approval of the final budget. But there's still a lot of work to be done, and we're still waiting on information that's out of the control of the district. And our next meeting is May 6th. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Human Resources, Mr. Hart.
Our next meeting is next week, April 10th at noon. And the reason the report typically states no report for Human Resources is because it's for discussion of personnel issues, which can't be reported out in public. So that's why the report typically is no report.
Thank you. Legislative, Mr. Martin.
I have a few things before I get into the budget, but I found this of interest, and you may not think this is education related, but there was a task force put together to determine why Pennsylvania has issues with people saving money, and they've come up with a solution. They're looking at it. It's called the Auto IRA Enroll Program, where you will have no option but to invest in a 401k. So that's something in the works. You would think people would understand that, but since people can't figure out how to save money, the state will do it for you. So that's in the process. I don't know if it's ever going to come to a bill, but that task force was put together, and the treasurer supports the idea because when people are retiring, they're not having funds, and the state's having to pay for that. So the state will take care of that for you. So I just thought I'd throw that because it is kind of related to education, because the students today feel that government will take care of them. And I see it today at work too. A lot of people say, oh, I'm not worried about saving money. You know, they'll take care of me. So
would that count if you're on unemployment as well? Would they garnish for if you're on unemployment as well?
It's just a task force. It's not even made it to the committee yet. It's just a task force. It's their recommendation to pursue it further. So
why not?
Well, I see there's there's two sides of this coin. I can understand where certain employers don't offer anything. I think that should be, the state should step into, but I still think it's a personal choice, whether you wanted to save money or not save money. But if we could do a better job educating people in economics, maybe that we wouldn't have that problem. Now, here's one that I thought everybody should be interested in. The state is trying to look at ways of helping students with debt. So they're looking at floating a $1 billion bond to help students with high levels of debt. They call it excessive debt. It would help them reduce their interest limit to 4% or less compared to what they currently have, which could be ranged. My son, his is at 8%. So they're looking at, that's a possibility of floating a $1 billion bond. Of course, you know, who's paying for that? The taxpayers again. So I don't have a problem with helping students, but, you know, I think part of the issue is everybody thinks they have to go to college, and they spend a lot of money in college, and they get out of college and realize maybe that didn't quite work out, and a couple of this debt that they can't pay off. So that's in the works. And now getting to my favorite thing, the budget. One of the holdups, I think the budget is going to go through, that one of the holdups is the minimum wage to $12. And the Independent Fiscal Office put together not a recommendation, the pros and cons of raising it to $12 and subsequently to $15 in 5 years. Just a couple of highlights are roughly 108 million people would get obviously benefit in the wages. One of the things they're supporting that all that money that they earn would be spent nearly as they receive it. So it would be all be put back into the economy, and none of it would be saved. So they're figuring that if they bump the minimum wage up, that money would be used to purchase product, which would help the economy even further. This one I think is a stretch. This is a pro. Business would incur higher labor costs, but they would realize cost savings through more worker productivity, which I think that's very difficult to quantify.
I can tell you that.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's in the report.
So if a grocery business that has a successful business nets 2%, and you make that business increase their labor by 50%, do you think that bottom line is going to be more successful?
No.
All right.
I'm not supporting it. I'm just reading what the Independent Fiscal Office is stating. Some of the drawbacks are there will be 34,000 people losing jobs, 26,000 would be part-time, 8,000 would be full-time. It would be difficult in low-income areas. It would be difficult for inexperienced workers to get jobs as well as part-time school students. Lower profit levels will hurt reinvestment in business operations. And the food service would be hit, and retail service would be hit severely more hardship than others. So I think the budget will pass. I don't think what the governor is proposing will get passed. It's probably, I'm going to say, I'm going out on a limb here, $10.50, but that's my prediction. That's it.
Thank you. Public relations, Ms. Troutman.
Thank you. I just have a couple items. Actually, the first item Dr. Kennedy already touched on. Again, we'll add our congratulations to Wilson Southern Middle School, who placed second at the Connects competition hosted by the BCIU. We also, on March 14th, 15 Wilson High School students participated in the Central East PA Science Olympiad at Kutztown. The competition included 23 events that challenged students in the field of physics, chemistry, biology, and engineering. The day-long event included 30 high schools from Berks, Lehigh, and Bucks counties, and Wilson High School's team had 4 top 10 finishers, which is awesome. And we want to congratulate our Wilson High School Academic Challenge team for winning the Berks County Academic Challenge competition match, which is really, really quite an achievement. The team is going to now move on to the Pennsylvania Academic Competition in April, so we'll certainly update you on how they do at that competition. And actually, my other item, Mr. Russo has on his report, and he always does a much better job than me when he gives his report. So I will let you talk about this lovely exhibit here in the room. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. Ed Foundation, Mr. Case.
Well, the Ed Foundation held their Iron Chef competition last weekend. It was a huge hit. Maybe They made, I'll share numbers next time, but the numbers were slightly less than last year, probably due to the weather, and also waiting an additional 2 weeks because of all the sports, spring sports that were, I know that impacted even my family, like my kids and wife couldn't go. So they're looking at moving the date a little bit earlier next year to get back in line and have it a big, as much of a success as it was last year. But there, a lot of great, it was a great turnout. Adelphia won the People's Choice Award and the Iron Chef. And I think it was probably due to the bump from Matt's son and myself being ticket punchers for Adelphia, just saying.
Or the fact that I came back twice, maybe.
Or that. But it was a great turnout. Everyone had a lot of fun, and the lines were perfectly paced and everything. I hope everyone had a good time who was out there. So thank you for the support. And the next WEF board meeting is Friday, May 24th. And two other things. Wilson Community Night is at the Fighting Phils on Friday, May 31st. And save your date on your calendar for the Wilson Education Foundation Bash, Saturday, November 23rd, 2019. It's a long way away, but get it on the calendar. Okay, so thanks.
Thank you. Mrs. Cocker, Technology.
Yes, we held our Technology Committee meeting this afternoon at 4 p.m. Nothing official to report. I just want to remind everyone that being on the Technology Committee that all of our notes are available on the website. You just go to wilsonsc.org and click on School Board Committee meetings, scroll all the way down to Technology, and it will have all of our minutes, everything that the committee is updated on, you have access to. So if you can't make the meetings at 4 p.m. on Monday every couple weeks, then you can have at least the results of the meeting. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Student outreach, Mr. Russo. Ms. Troutman did set a pretty high bar there for you. So.
So much to say. But just as we thought we were out of this cold, we still have like frost in the windows and stuff like that, but the Wilson trip to Costa Rica, I think it was nearly 20 students that went, arrived back Saturday night and slightly more tan. At school this morning, they were slightly more tan, but definitely had better Spanish than I do. And the students just spoke so highly of the trip and how much they learned. It's far more than what they went in expecting to. And then the next day, on Sunday, about another 20 students embarked on a trip to Germany, and it's a tour as well as an immersion staying with a host family. I do know one of my classmates actually went on both trips, so she was happy to come home, go to Chick-fil-A, sleep in her bed, and then wake up the next morning and go off to Germany. So this trip, students will be touring famous historic landmarks as well as immersing themselves in German language and culture, staying with a host family. And many of those host families were actually students that we have hosted here at Wilson. So it's nice to see that interaction, and it just helps with the relationship in years to come. Over this past weekend, and I know I spoke about this event when it was coming up, but the Wilson JROTC held their annual military ball. This is just a nice event to show how large this club has become, simply with so many students involved and so much power they can hold a big event like this. So it was nice to see all the pictures of students wearing their full uniforms, being able to wear all of their badges and accolades they've worn, garnered over the years. So I do know that they were so happy with how the event went, and yeah, it's a nice way to kind of mark the end of the school year coming. As Ms. Troughton lined me up for this, but the AP Art Studio class held an art show opening in the Grandview Gallery yesterday afternoon. Guests enjoyed light refreshments and were able to view these beautiful works of art. If you look around. There are 6 students in this class, and they'll be using these pieces will be sent to the AP board and reviewed for their AP art class. So they used a variety of mediums and focuses to really cover the curriculum of the class, but also you can see that each one is very different. You can tell a bit of a theme or style, what they're going for. So it's pretty impressive just to see quite the collection they've been able to build up over the past year. So definitely at the end of this meeting, look around. This also isn't listed on my notes, but just thinking, Dr. Fadley had me thinking of it. But another AP class that has a big week coming up is the AP Research class. If you don't know about this class, it's a relatively new course, but we have 12 students enrolled in it currently. So it's a nice small class, 2 teachers teach it, and so really is this focused environment. I'm fortunate to be one of those students. And over the course of the year, all 12 students pick an area of focus to conduct an undergraduate level research project. So the full year developing an original research question as well as an area to dive into. Personally, I was looking at criminal justice and incarcerations in Pennsylvania. Other students were looking at fashion sustainability, senioritis at Wilson High School, animal service dogs. It's truly impressive to see the variety of things that students were looking at. Don't forget the mussels. Oh, and another student was looking at mussels in the Schuylkill River, testing to see how can we make our water even more clean. And so ultimately, these students were able to dive deeper into an area that you would not have otherwise looked at if you weren't in this class. And the key piece is looking at the gap, that area that hasn't been researched before, what's making it original. And being in high school, being in Berks County, being in Pennsylvania, students tend to look at our community. So from that, we're seeing all of these solutions and suggestions to how we can make our school and community more beneficial to students, more safe to our environment, more just in our legal departments. So it really is impressive to see what these students have come up with. And my final note is just an announcement for any parents in the audience who have a senior currently at Wilson High School. The student government is sponsoring a $500 scholarship. Wouldn't that be nice? I read too many zeros. Something I wish, but it is a one-time scholarship, a one-time grant. More specifically, but this is to any graduating senior that intends to further their education at a higher education institution. So certainly encourage your student to apply. It's a short application, it's an easy one, and you never know what those who will be reviewing it might think of the essay or your resume. So definitely encourage any students you know. And that's all I have.
Great. Thank you. You lived up to your reputation. Good job. All right. Mr. Maravich, you want to review public participation?
There will be now one opportunity to address the public because we're only on non-agenda items for the public to address the board. For anyone who filled out the form, the board president will be calling out in each individual. If there's any handouts, it's to be given to Mrs. Carroll, who is the board secretary. It is a 3-minute opportunity. I'm the timer. I will give you the 1-minute sign and then give you the stop sign. Please, because we have a number of people speaking, please abide by the time limits. It is not question and answer, but instead is an opportunity to provide a statement to the board. It is to the board as a whole and not to individuals or to the superintendent, and that information will be taken into consideration on matters that are or may come before the board in the future. It is limited to taxpayers or residents of the district pursuant to the Sunshine Law.
Okay, thank you. First up, we have Robert Schneider.
Good evening. My name is Bob Schneider. I come here tonight to address this body about the rumored possible outsourcing of the Wilson Child Care Program. I am a Wilson graduate, and I'm also part of the inaugural class of Wilson Child Care. I can't even begin to imagine how many children's lives have been touched by this program over the last 35 or so years, but has included my own and my children's. I fully recognize there are a host of issues that need to be considered when looking at programs such as these, finances being paramount among them. I also work in education, so I understand the fiscal realities that all schools must live under today. But when money is not an issue, what's best for the student should always be at the forefront. The Wilson Child Care Program is about much more than babysitting kids before and after school. And while the district could make some money outsourcing this program, what it stands to lose is so much more. I have incredibly fond memories of the relationships I built in childcare, not just with other students, but with the adults as well. Adults who I continue to see many years later and who took the time to care for and about me enough to take time out of their day all those many years later to stop and talk to me. Mrs. Mester, Mrs. Wacklish, and the countless others will always be near and dear to my heart. But this is not something unique to me. I still laugh and reminisce with others who were in the program with me. My own children have also been touched by the program. Mrs. Hoyer was a beloved child care teacher, and her unexpected passing during the school year left an impression on many students. Her funeral was the first one that my daughter ever attended, and many of Mrs. Hoyer's other students came to honor her. The child care students even made a remembrance arch for the service. It was beautifully touching. But this is all anecdotal. These are just the memories of some guy who has gone through the program. But there is much more to this program than just me.
1 minute.
As of late, my beloved school district has repeatedly been in the news, and not for the reasons I remember it happening. The Wilson I remember made the news because of academic, athletic, and philanthropic achievements of those who attended here. Many of them products of the child care program. This is sadly no longer the case. But Wilson Child Care and Wilson School District in general have always meant more than that. Wilson has always been about community, and its child care program is a true example of that. The people who work in this program are not just employees, they are community members. Employing them as part of the district ties the community together, and it costs the district nothing. Not only does it cost the district nothing, but it also pays dividends to these employees. In addition to their wages, which cost the district nothing, a number of them receive health benefits, again at no additional cost to the district, and as district employees are enrolled in the PSERS retirement system. This gives them a retirement benefit that they more than likely would not get if they get hired by whatever company outsourced them. Is that my timer?
Yeah.
Okay. My own experience in education has allowed me to see what happens in a system of outsourcing or of not providing at all. I have seen the poor working conditions that are paid to people who run the program. This often results in less skilled workers and dissatisfaction in the program. The lack of community feel on the part of the workers will directly result in a lesser experience for the children who attend the Wilson Child Care, and at the end of the day, they are the reason we are all here. We're here to try and ensure the best educational and community experience for them. I'll cut off there and just say thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ingrid Olson.
Good evening. My name is Ingrid Olson. I am a mother of a kindergarten student, and our family has been residents of the Wilson School District for 31 years. Our son attended Berkshire Heights Child Care for the summer before kindergarten and is now using before and after school program at Shiloh Hill. Our son has been through a rough 2 years with losing 3 family members, 2 to cancer and 1 suddenly. This all happened before and during his time at Berkshire Heights. It caused our son to have a few issues with his feelings of security and confidence. He was grieving and trying to enter the big boy life the best way he could. The point of me telling you this is because Berkshire Heights staff dealt with my son, who wasn't the easiest at times, through his tough time and made him excited for kindergarten. He still asked to visit the teachers from Berkshire Heights every once in a while. Those teachers were people who cared about their students and the community that they're working in. You can tell their work is not for profit and it is done out of love. Now, our son is in the before and after school care at Shiloh Hill, and he feels a sense of family while there. These teachers, many of whom are Wilson families or graduates, they not only care and go above and beyond for our kids, but they care and value your district's school vision and success. I believe changing this system, which has worked for over 30 years, and something our district loves and talks so highly about, for a for-profit organization would be a big mistake. Our children will not get the love, care, and sense of family from a system that will change its goals to be about profit. I think the biggest profit you should look for is that this system is the one that shows our youth how much you care and value them. These kids will be your future, your alumni, your community. Let's make them proud to be a Bulldog and keep our most valuable assets, our children, feel like their success and happiness is more important than a profit. That was what I wrote prior to coming here. After being here, I'd also like to say that I'm one of the people, because of all that's hit our family in the last 2 years, we actually benefit from using the state-funded assistance program. I think a lot of people are ashamed to admit that, but it's been a great program, but because your school offers it, it allows my son to be somewhere safe that I trust in, and he feels secure with it, on top of everything else that goes on. So thank you.
Thank you. Angela Stout.
Good evening. My name is Angela Stout. I came here tonight. My 3-year-old is a student at Berkshire Heights, and I have a 15-year-old who has been diagnosed with ADHD, and he has a learning disability. He struggles in reading. They had blamed it on a lack of preschool education. He went to a daycare where they played all day. It sounds like that's what you guys are going towards. I just wanted you to know that where my little one is at now at Berkshire Heights, he's learning how to write his name. My older one, he didn't do that until about 4 and a half, which they are, my little one's 3, so it's just like incredible what they do at the preschool level now, and I don't see a reason to change it at all. I think that why change perfection? That's all.
Thank you. Sue Schiavo.
Good evening. My name is Sue Schiavo, and I'm a kindergarten teacher in the district, and I'm also a parent of a child who's enrolled at Berkshire Heights preschool program. I'm here tonight to share my thoughts about what I feel is Wilson tradition. The possibility of outsourcing Wilson's preschool program and the before and after care program is a topic that I feel very strongly about, and I felt like I would be doing a disservice to the children of the Wilson community if I stayed silent. Speaking as a parent of a 5-year-old who is currently enrolled in the Berkshire Heights preschool program, I have seen my daughter transform from an extremely shy little girl hiding behind her blanket when others were around to a confident and outgoing little girl who is the first to participate in her class. A little girl who was nervous to play with other children to someone who now plays with other children, easily making friends. And from a little girl who is very scared to be away from me to a little girl who waves and gives me a kiss goodbye with no fear and no tears as I drop her off, all within a matter of 2 weeks from starting at Berkshire Heights. Berkshire Heights is the happiest and friendliest place. When you walk in there, you can't help but smile and think to yourself, this place is perfect for my child. Speaking as a kindergarten teacher, I see the huge academic and social benefits that the students come to kindergarten with after attending Berkshire Heights. The staff coordinates and plans their curriculum, aligning with Wilson's curriculum, preparing the children for their future education. They continuously reach out and collaborate in order to make every child's experience the best it can be. Each and every staff member at Berkshire Heights teaches these young children how to be kind, how to be nice, how to play, how to share, every social skill imaginable, and prepares them academically because each and every staff member cares about each and every child in their care. They truly care about them. Berkshire Heights and Wilson's before and after school child care have been in existence for over 30 years, and they have an outstanding reputation. They are part of what Wilson is, building relationships, being part of a community with a community feel to it. It's the beginning of being a bulldog. A for-profit, outsourced, generic program, in my opinion, will never have that community feel to it and will not make things better for our children. Outsourcing this established, successful program would be like the Onceler chopping down the truffula trees. I'm asking the board and administration to be like the Lorax and care a whole awful lot. Thank you.
Angela Mitsteifer.
Hi, my name is Angela Mitsteifer, and I come to you today not only as a parent of 2 children who benefited from attending Berkshire Heights, but also as a Wilson teacher who works closely with the staff at Berkshire Heights through the Building Bulldogs program. As a parent of 2 elementary school-age boys, I can speak from experience on what a positive impact the school had on my children. I researched and visited other local preschool programs, and no other program in the area came close to being able to offer the community feel, the academic rigor, and social and emotional development that my children received at Berkshire Heights. My husband and I are both Wilson graduates and lived outside the district, but after we had children, we learned more about the district that we lived in, so we made the decision to move our family to Wilson because we wanted the best opportunities in education for our children. Berkshire Heights was a key component of that decision. It's helped my children succeed academically in elementary school now. What makes Berkshire Heights such a special place is the staff who are Wilson alumni and Wilson community members, and they bring the joy and pride of being a member of the Wilson community to work every day. That will not be replicated if the school is run by a franchise. I also believe that it's important for the Wilson School District to have a strong connection to the preschool so we can continue to increase the collaboration with families of preschool-age children and with the kindergarten teachers to give students the best opportunity possible to be successful when they enter a Wilson elementary school. For the past 2 years, I've been a core member of the Building Bulldogs Committee, where we are actively building bridges with families of preschool-age children in the community to make a transition to kindergarten and make it as seamless as possible for our incoming Wilson students. With the support and collaboration of the Berkshire Heights staff, who are truly invested in the success of our students at Wilson, we have been able to reach over 200 families of incoming kindergarten students this year. By keeping Berkshire Heights as part of the Wilson School District, I believe that we can continue to grow the Building Bulldogs program in the coming years as we develop the early childhood education program at Wilson to meet the needs of our community. So I'd be glad to discuss my experience in more detail with you at another time, but thank you for your time.
Thank you. Karen Moreland.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karen Moreland. I come to you tonight to ask that you reconsider outsourcing the Berkshire Heights Early Childhood Program. My 2 children, Connor and Layla, attended Berkshire Heights Early Childhood Program in very recent years. They are both now attending Whitfield Elementary School, the same school I attended as a child. This fact is an enormous sense of pride for me. The Wilson community is the best around. We, the Wilson community, know how to help a child grow in all areas to be prominent and important members of our society, many of whom, like myself, return to the Wilson community to give back. It is this sense of community that makes Berkshire Heights such a special and irreplaceable program. Before starting kindergarten at Whitfield, my 2 children had very different academic, social, emotional, and behavior immaturities, as do all 3- and 4-year-olds. The program at Berkshire Heights helped them both in very different ways to be able to start kindergarten. The program taught by these devoted and professional teachers enabled each of them, as well as countless other children, to develop in unparalleled ways. The Berkshire Heights teachers and program focused on the whole child. Each child's academic, social, emotional, and behavioral growth were overseen on a daily basis in order to get each child ready to walk through the doors of kindergarten. The power and strength of Berkshire Heights comes from the people that work there every day, the people that believe in the Wilson community as much as we all do, the people that believe in our children and our district and want to continue to see it grow and succeed. The same pride in our Wilson community cannot be accomplished if this program is delivered by a franchise. Because of Miss Charity, Miss Kim, Miss Diane, Miss Ashley, Mrs. Osley, Miss Pat, Miss Maria, and Mrs. Wales, Connor and Layla entered the doors at Whitfield confident and ready to learn on that very first day of kindergarten. Please consider keeping this very special program as a part of our strong Wilson community. Thank you.
Thank you. Jenna Knechtel.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Jenna Knechtel, and I'm a first grade teacher at Green Valley. I'm also a parent of 3 little boys who attend or will be attending the Wilson School District. I've gone back and forth a lot whether or not I should speak tonight, but I knew deep in my heart that if I didn't, I'd regret it forever. I heard on Friday that you'll be presented with the option of outsourcing Berkshire Heights tonight. The second I heard it, my heart broke. My boys have been going there for the past 5 years, and that school has been our family. From the moment my oldest stepped in those doors, he was treated like one of their own. From then on, my boys have always cheered when it was a school day, knowing it would be filled with so much fun, and we knew it would be filled with Wilson learning. We've had so many conversations with other parents about pre-K programs, and nothing has ever touched the prestige of Berkshire Heights and their teachers. We knew our children would be ready for Wilson Kindergarten because of the high standards they set. We have another 3 years ahead of us that our boys are supposed to go there. We're holding my 4-year-old back from kindergarten because he needs another year to grow. And Miss Charity was going to be his teacher again next year. And to know that future for him is uncertain is really scary for us. As a first grade teacher, I see the difference in students who come to me from Berkshire Heights and those who don't. Many of them are above in reading, writing, and math. There are many children who graduate from Berkshire Heights who are already reading. I have 3 students in my class this year who went to Berkshire Heights and who are all above where they should be for reading. The teachers at Berkshire Heights are preparing our little bulldogs when they're just 3 years old. There's nothing more beneficial to a primary teacher than that. I wish we could have scholarships set up to give many more children the chance to get an education like Berkshire Heights delivers. Thank you so much for your time. I truly hope you will reconsider. Berkshire Heights is one of the most important places in our lives as a family, and it is something that should be saved, not franchised. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Prophet. Sure. Emily Cornish.
Hello, everyone. My name is Emily Cornish. I am a teacher, I am a parent, and a 10-year resident of Wilson School District. I have a daughter who is a freshman here and attended the Wilson Child Care Program from 1st through 5th grade at Shiloh Hills, and I have a kindergartner this year who has started. I just want to speak to the fact that this program is absolutely fantastic. My oldest thrived, and my youngest often scolds me, saying, "Mama, why are you here so early to pick me up?" She loves the attention that she gets from her friends and the staff that are at this district. It is a fantastic program. I can assure you that our current child care has safety plans, is aware of students with special needs and addresses them, provides enrichment through physical activity and the arts, and most importantly, they make it a very special time. They may not crunch the numbers as in the data that was presented by this organization this evening, and I can assure you they have no time to conduct their own research because they are too busy taking care of our kids. I was disappointed to hear that it was suggested that our students who we pay to go to this program are sitting around playing Fortnite and eating Doritos. I think that was extremely unfair and unprofessional for that to be suggested, and I want to assure you that it is not a reality. Problems with this program are many from what I have just heard about and read. Most importantly, it is a for-profit company. Why are we switching from a nonprofit for what I'm seeing is absolutely no reason. I guess I'm asking is, what is broken about our child care program that needs to be fixed? I can encourage you, if you haven't done so already, to reach out to neighboring districts who have outsourced things like maintenance or the cafeteria staff and ask them what their experience has been. I can assure you from my own firsthand witness is that these companies come in, they assure that they're going to have X number of people there to do the job, let's say, of maintenance, and then what happens is their hours get cut short and then people quit and you have a higher turnover rate. I am concerned about this, okay? Additionally, if this company does get approved, will they have to pay rent to use our buildings for their childcare? The whole vibe of the school program makes me uncomfortable. The website describes their way as the right way, and just the introduction is condescending. Any 21st century learner knows that there is no singular right way. There are many right ways, and I'd like to know what is wrong with our current way. I'd also like to know if this service that they are presenting was solicited by the district or if this was solicited by the right school company. I get that this would be a way to add revenue. That is clearly one perk and a driving factor in considering the reestablishment of our current child care. However, I would rather you keep the district child care as is and make it for-profit instead of turning over 35 years of a successful program to a company that is not even local. I encourage you to not rush into this decision without first conducting your own research. Why was I, as a parent, not informed about this and had to find out on Facebook? Okay? I had to jump through hoops to get here to talk tonight.
Please wrap up.
Okay? I paid my deposit for next year. I would like I'd like to thank you for tabling this motion tonight and hearing our concerns. I do appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. Please reach out to your current child care employees, as I'm sure they have relevant insight and ideas on how to improve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy Snyder.
Good evening, and thank you for listening. I've never spoken at a school board meeting before. In fact, I have never felt a need as great as this. I would like to first address you as Nancy Snyder, mother and community member. When we first moved to the Wilson School District with children aged 3 and 4, we did what many working parents are faced with, and that is to search for a quality child care center and preschool for our son and daughter. This is even more difficult for someone who works in education and has a degree in early childhood education because my standards are often quite high. Our search ended when we were recommended to Wilson Child Care, where I am proud to say that all 3 of our children attended. The oldest attended preschool when it was still located at West Wyomissing. The dear middle child attended for 2 years when it was located at the high school, and the littlest Snyder at Berkshire Heights. All 3 kids had the most amazing experiences, learning through play and building strong relationships with their teachers, teachers' assistants, and their peers. They loved to go to school each day, and we are so thankful that they had these wonderful experiences. Thank you to those of you sitting in this room who have had a hand in my children's early developmental years, as they are now middle school and high school age. And you, the dedicated professionals, you guys know who you are. The dedicated professionals that you are still impacting the lives of our youngest Bulldogs. Now I would like to switch gears and speak to you as Nancy Snyder, Wilson School District Reading Specialist and committee member of Building Bulldogs. 2 years ago, I began an incredible journey alongside some of our district's most passionate early childhood educators and advocates. This committee included a total of 2 Berkshire Heights teachers and 1 Berkshire Heights supervisor. We all attended the Governor's Institute for Early Childhood Education, and with the help of some generous grant money, built our Building Bulldogs program. The program is rooted in its belief of bridging school and community to help our preschool-aged children gain the skills and confidence needed to enter kindergarten. It saddens me that I am standing before you today having to have a one-way conversation about my fear of outsourcing Berkshire Heights. I would have much preferred an open dialogue prior to reaching this point and hearing the news on Facebook. I have some wonderings for you as a board regarding this very important decision, and now I hope we've actually bought some time to dig a little deeper, and thank you for tabling the decision. Has anyone personally visited any of the centers run by this company? If so, what did you see? Do their teachers show longevity within their roles, or is there a high teacher turnover? You are faced with a decision that is going to directly affect children and families. I do hope that someone has made or will make these visits to see firsthand what this company has to offer. I ask you this evening, is there a way that we can reach out to build upon this wonderful hidden gem that we hold right here within our district? Can we work together to brainstorm ideas that will keep our children at the forefront of any decisions that are being proposed? We are a district full of resources. Why outsource before attempting to problem solve as a team? This is what we teach our children. We say that we value early childhood education. This is the time to show through our actions that we truly do. As a district employee and advocate for early childhood education, I ask that you please consider this same team mentality so that we, teachers and community, can have a chance at being part of a positive solution for our children. We are 100% invested in our young learners, and I ask that you join us and do the same.
Beverly Hauk.
Hi, thank you. My name is Beverly Hauk. I have a junior at the high school, a freshman, and a 5th grader, and I actually work at a local preschool and certified kindergarten. So that's where I'm coming from. First, to echo the comments that were made earlier, it does continue to be troubling that we are finding out about planned significant changes through Facebook and the rumor mill. However, I would sincerely like to commend the board for tabling this decision, and And I really take that as a very positive indicator that there is a turn from more of our recent events towards light of more disclosure by the district and an effort to visibly listen to your community, including parents and teachers, in support of our students' growth. It's echoing some of the things other people have said, but as you're preparing for the town hall meeting, something that I would like to know is what is the problem that is trying to be solved that made this the great solution? One of the things that the Wilson School District has that is very unique and special, and again, I am fortunate to have work in other districts in Berks County, and one of the things we have is a full buy-in by the majority of our families into preschool and the importance of early childhood education, and understanding that birth through 3rd grade is the most pivotal time to ensure success for our children, our community members, they spend a lot of time in the daycare and the preschool, and Berkshire Heights, I live in Berkshire Heights, and I see what those kids are doing, and it is nothing like the issues that were being presented as possible issues for our district by the presenter earlier. Also, what outcomes have we been looking for, and what have we done to measure those outcomes, and where are we falling short? What due diligence has been done for this program? We all know that we have recently been burned for not doing full research on negative comments online, and in a very quick search of this specific organization sitting here, there were enough to raise concerns about their promised low turnover and things like that. Anyway, thank you all for your time, and I look forward to seeing you at a town hall.
Thank you. Kim Sanders.
I'm very high-tech with my sheets from the notebook. Good evening. My name is Kim Sanders, and I'm a 1st grade teacher in the district, and also a mommy to that adorable little 5-year-old girl sitting right over there, Julia. She is currently enrolled in the pre-K program at Berkshire Heights. I'm here tonight to show my support for all of the amazing teachers, amazing aides, and support staff who work tirelessly to give my daughter and so many other children in this community a wonderful start to their educational journey. My daughter, Julia, absolutely adores her teacher, Miss Charity Fox, Ms. Diane, the aide, and all of the other aides who interact with her on a daily basis. Julia has grown so much since the start of the school year, both academically and socially. She loves going to school each and every day because Berkshire Heights feels like a family to her, and to my husband, and to myself as well. The pre-K program uses developmentally appropriate practices, which needs to be happening K-2 in our district as well. Developmentally appropriate practices, and also nurtures the whole child. Julia comes home every day, and she's excited to tell me about all of her day, which is filled with singing and dancing and playing and read-alouds and writing and hands-on learning in all academic areas. As a 1st grade teacher, I feel certain that Julia is well prepared for kindergarten in the fall. My husband and I know how truly blessed we are to have had such a dedicated, caring staff, nurturing and loving our daughter. I hope with all my heart that the Berkshire Heights preschool, pre-K program, and before and after school childcare in the Wilson family, I hope that will continue rather than the outsourcing. I think outsourcing would lose the sense of community that makes these programs here at Wilson so special. Thank you all for listening to me tonight.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming and your comments. Please check our website. I believe probably by tomorrow or the next day we'll have posted when those open forums will be to come and get more of your questions answered. I think we'll have some of those answers prepared at that time. Do you have any other comments on the subject right now? Nothing? Mr. Negrini?
No, not good.
Yeah.
We will have, I think it was shared earlier, we will have 2 forums, one during the day for individuals that need to access us during the day, and one in the evening over the next week and a half, so that people can come and maybe in a more informal environment, address concerns, questions, and we can share information with you as well. Thank you for the professionalism exhibited in your public comments today. We will take that to heart, and we will prepare for our open forums. Thank you.
Commissioner Green.
I just wanted to share, first and foremost, Jennifer Prophet and I spoke last night. She reiterates what has been spoken here this evening. She did have a child go through the Berkshire Heights program, and she has one enrolled to start next year. In August of 2010, I held the hand of my 3-year-old daughter Isabel and walked into Berkshire Heights and felt comfortable as a parent that my child was going to be safe and was going to be loved, some of whom were part of that experience sitting in this room here tonight, some of whom have since retired and moved out of the area, Marianne Choika and Connie Petrilli. My oldest daughter, who's now a high school freshman, was involved in the before and after school child care program. Isabel, who's now in 6th grade, just finished up last year, some of whom have had the joy of spending time with her and nurturing her through the years. So I look at this from the perspective of both a parent who shared many of the same concerns that each of you have. I look at this as a community member, as someone who has grown up and graduated from Wilson and came back here specifically to be part of this community and this excellent tradition that's here. But I come at this as a board member as well, regarding looking at all of the potential pros and cons of anything that is brought before us. You know, I think that's important to remember when this matter is continued to be discussed moving forward, that many that sit before you tonight have either been through or currently are experiencing the same concerns that you are. And we appreciate your thoughts and opinions, and it's well warranted to speak up regarding this issue. And you should know that you know, the 9 of us here and the administration certainly does not take any possible change to what has been offered previously lightly. And we will take into consideration all of those matters, financial and otherwise, moving forward. So thank you, Mr. Wolf.
Thank you. Any other business or comments from the board? Okay, looking for a motion to adjourn. Mr. Hopp, thank you.